When you rewatch the tape of the most recent game, what is it that you feel like they did really well against Steph and just, I guess, team-wide defensively against you guys?
I thought they just played really hard and, really put a lot of pressure on us. And it wasn't our best game, obviously. So, there's not, I don't think anything is sort of revealing about it. It's, they changed a few of the matchups and, but they just played really hard, and they're a good team, really good team. So, a game that meant a lot to both teams. We were, I think, coming off 3 straight really big wins. And so kind of the natural progression of an NBA season, where you just have some nights where you don't have it, and the other team's really good. That's about it for me.
Ime was talking about the fact he's got all these guys that have never been here. They talk about experiences from Fred and others. You've got guys that have been here a ton. Do you do anything different year to year, or is it just roll the balls out and let's go again?
Well, we roll the balls out for 82 games because there's a game every other night. The beauty of the playoffs is you actually have a chance to plot and scheme and prepare. And so I think that's what makes the playoffs so fun is you can really delve into things. And our guys have, especially Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, and Loon. I mean, those 4 guys have just a ton of playoff experience. So I think they really relish this time of year and, the process of getting ready for an opponent. It's fun.
You guys saw Houston 5 times this year, and it seemed like they threw a lot at you strategically. How much more might they have up their sleeve that you're preparing for?
Well, I think the most relevant game was the last one, just because they weren't playing Steven Adams and Sengun together until the last part of the season. But the other one would be right after we got Jimmy when we came here and played a pretty good game, and that was our first look at playing them with Jimmy, and that changes things obviously. So I think the last 2 games are the most relevant in terms of our preparation, but we looked at the first 3 as well, and this is the beauty of the playoffs. You actually have time to do all this stuff.
Steve, as you look at the layout of the schedule of this series, is there added emphasis for you guys specifically, maybe in the first 3 games of a series, to expand minutes maybe for some of the older players, knowing that later on it's going to be more compacted, or do you have to protect against that even early? Basically, with more rest, do you try to really get those games by extending minutes at the risk of maybe?
Yeah, I think you take each game for what it is, and we've had 4 days of rest since our Memphis game. We got 2 days in between this one and game 2. So we'll go into tonight and do everything we can to win, and it's the playoffs, so generally your best players are going to play extra minutes, and I'm not worried about anything other than tonight, and then you sort of figure it out each day after that.
Steve mentioned a lot about your identity is, Steph, when Steph's out there, it's a free-flowing stuff, and when Jimmy's out there, more ISO. Obviously, we've seen that. What has it been like when they're together? Is it Jimmy in the free-flowing, or is it a little different when Steph and Jimmy are on the court together?
Well, I think the beauty of Jimmy's ISOs is that he ISOs to create an advantage and then to pass. And so whether it's, running an action for Steph or Jimmy, we're still getting the ball movement and the flow. It's just the way we're starting the possession. And so getting the ball to Jimmy is one of our biggest priorities, so we can run our stuff for Steph. But we have a counter now, and that is just throw the ball to Jimmy. And that's an incredible luxury. But he's not a guy who's just going to ISO to score. And that's why it's been such a great fit. He ISOs, he draws defenders, then the ball movement kicks in from there. So it's really a very similar style to how we've played for 10 years. It's just the beginning action to generate the defensive rotation is different.
Draymond has been the heart and soul of your team for a very long time. Is there anything you have to tell him different now coming into this playoff series, knowing the history that he has with Dylan Brooks and with Steven Adams?
No, I mean, I think, again, we get back to the preparation time that you have in the playoffs. It allows for, different thoughts, different ideas during practice. It allows for more mental and emotional preparation for your team. Good reminders to guys. I haven't said anything to Draymond about that stuff. He's a 4-time champion. He knows, a big part of this series is staying poised and, playing through the physicality and matching the physicality that Houston's bringing it. And that's something he does quite well.
The Rockets were the #1 rebounding team in the league this year. When you're going up against a team that crashed the boards much to the Rockets, does that change anything with your game plan as far as, for instance, do you have more people going to the boards instead of getting out on a fast break? Or do you stick to what you've pretty much been doing all season long?
Well, it just provides data for to add to the film when you're preparing, and you just tell your team. The series probably depends on the possession battle. We can't allow them to have a bunch more possessions than us and expect to win the series. So that means it's on us to take care of the ball and be relentless when it comes to rebounding and loose balls.
Do you only expect them to go to that double big lineup when Steph's not on the floor?
Yeah, we would expect that. Thank you.
Usual starting lineup tonight?
Yes.
And then secondly, you were just named a finalist for NBA Coach of the Year along with Kenny Atkinson and JB Bickerstaff. Just what does it mean to get that recognition?
It means our team is doing well, and Alpy got All-Star. It means we're playing well, seeded well. Credit to the guys, but I don't think anybody, well, not myself anyway. I'd rather win a ring than an individual award.
What do you think about Amin Thompson not being named a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year award?
I'd rather Amin be named than me as well. But no, I think a lot has to do with reputation, and he's new to the league, but also probably when I heard about that, I assumed, looking at the other candidates, he didn't start all year, and that might have affected it. But we all know what he does for us, and the league knows what he is, and you can use it as fuel or whatever. Hopefully he still makes one of the all-teams, all-NBA teams. But, something he'll, obviously, one of his goals for the future, and I'm sure he'll capture a few of those. So take the snub and use it as motivation.
Ime, with so many guys that haven't played in the playoffs, is there anything you have to protect against or coach against or anything like that, or just same old, same old?
No, we talked about it a few times this week. Just, guys trying to share experiences, but at the end of the day, you got to get out there and do it. And first time for everybody at some point. And at the end of the day, it's basketball once the ball is tossed up. And so if there are any jitters, you calm them down. But like I said, I think we've played in some meaningful games recently, against some quality teams, in-season tournament, those type of things to have our guys prepared. But, had a week of preparation. I'm sure guys have thought about it and all that, but just kind of get out there and do it. And I think all those jitters will go away pretty quickly.
Jimmy Butler only took 7 shots against you guys last game. In the last 2 games, I think he's taken at least 20. It seems like he's kind of ratcheted up his aggressiveness. Do you expect a different, kind of more aggressive version of him tonight offensively?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the last 2 games, obviously, were to stay out of the play-in and then to advance out of the play-in. And so, as always, he ramps it up in the playoffs. I've seen him quite a few times in the playoff series, and saves his best for that time. And so, first game at home, our first game, obviously coming off of a victory we had over them not too long ago. I think he's going to be more aggressive, and that's what he's done recently. Obviously, getting to the free throw line, hunting mismatches and those type of things. But taking some pressure off Curry and knowing the importance of him facilitating the scoring, he's going to obviously come out much more aggressive and get more shots up today.
Your entire team's confidence has never wavered, and that includes your young guys. What have you liked about their confidence and they're not afraid this entire season?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to last year. I think, the whole thing was to compete and change the perception around the league, and with the opponents that come in and play us, we did that. And so from there, they saw the results, and we wanted to take another step this year, and we have. And so beating quality teams, playing, up to that level has given them confidence. Finishing where we did has given them confidence, and then obviously the end of the season having a chance to rest and all that. But right before that, we played those high-level, meaningful games as well to clinch that spot. And so, yeah, just more of the same. I think our guys are pretty fearless, go about it the way we do, which is with physicality, aggressiveness, and that mindset on both ends. And that's what I like about our group. The veterans rubbed off on the young guys, but the young guys have that confidence, swagger from day one.
When you were coaching in San Antonio in the playoffs, what was the most valuable thing that you learned about coaching in the playoffs specifically? And then when you became a head coach, was there anything new or specific to doing it as a head coach that you learned?
You know, consistency wins, and if you can get your guys to do that, you give yourself a great chance. But that's no different from the regular season either. You know, it is a game of adjustments and a series of adjustments in the playoffs, and you have to be ready for A, B, C, D, whatever the team throws at you. You have to have you know, response for that. And so, not a whole lot of difference in my opinion. The physicality gets ratcheted up, the intensity and all the meaningful possessions and all those things, but I think we do that anyway. So we don't have to change who we are throughout the year. But for myself, it's kind of how I approach it every game. And I'm a guy that will tweak things and move things around and not just stay the same. And so, it's nothing different for me.
Steve Kerr said that Ahmed Thompson learned the NBA nuances offensively and defensively really quick. When did you start to see him be able to adapt to this game?
Day one, defensively, I mean, he has those physical traits and that ability that you can't teach, instincts as well. So the defensive side was day one. I think offensively, we asked him to do different things last year, not being a guy with the ball in his hands the whole time. And, you know, Alpy goes down, he plays the forward. Fred goes down, he plays the one, and does everything else in between. Now he's starting at a wing, and so he screened more, played in the dunker more, things he had never done before, and adapted very quickly. But he's added that all to his toolbox, and it has become more well-rounded. But the physicality and the defensive mindset was from day one. Offensively, he learned a few things, and once he goes through them, he seems to catch on pretty quickly and get downhill, attack, and do all the things he does naturally as well. So last year, it hit pretty quickly, I would say.
Is there anything about that finals against Golden State when you were in Boston that you find instructive now when you're defending Steph Curry?
I mean, it's the same as always, not just that final series, but, you know, he's a guy that just needs one to go down to kind of spark himself and the team. I would say the experience, and, you know, we've had quite a few battles with him 5 times this year, so our guys have seen it, but his experience and the overall experience and corporate knowledge of their team and how they hunt shots for him and those things, you know, I obviously witnessed firsthand, not just in Boston, but over the years in San Antonio, playing against those guys many times. But, yeah, it's nothing new for me. I think our guys have seen it quite a few times this year, and we had some good battles with them last year. And so kind of got over that hurdle of not beating them for a while and had beat them in meaningful games this year, obviously to get to a play-in tournament and then this late season one. But understanding he's not going to stop, and he's going to come back, obviously, and try to avenge what we did in Golden State recently.
Any other questions? Great,
Thank you.